Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Bullpen Podcast. Hope everyone's having a wonderful start to July. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July week. I am your host, Adam Kunos. You can follow me on Twitter at Kunos19. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter as well at the Bullpen Pod. We are not on Threads yet. I know that is up and trending, but we may get there. We may not get there. We haven't decided if we're going to be going to Threads. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head over to Fanatics using the Linktree bio in our Twitter bio for all things Major League Baseball in the MLB shop, which includes hats, jerseys, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and more. And don't forget to pick up all of your official 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star apparel and gear. I did pick up some new All-Star swag when I was in Cleveland. I'll talk about that later on in the show. But use the Linktree bio in our Twitter bio to go over for all things Major League Baseball. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the All-Star break for Major League Baseball. It's hard to believe that the first half of the season has officially come to the end. We officially did the first half, I would say, a few weeks ago in games-wise, but the All-Star break is the official first half break of the Major League Baseball season. So we are here. It has been a crazy first half of the season. We're going to talk about our surprises, our disappointments about the first half later on the show, but we are here. We're at the All-Star break, and as you can tell, we were off last week. We had planned to do some live shows in Toronto and Cleveland. However, we had a lot of mishaps going around that trip. First of all, forgot some equipment while we were in Toronto, so we weren't able to do the live stream from Toronto. We did bring the equipment with us to Cleveland. However, reception in the stadium was just absolutely awful for a baseball stadium in the downtown area. The reception was pretty questionable. I kind of lost nerves at some points during the game, but we did tweet out as best we can that we were here, but we're going to go ahead and give you our reviews of the game. So let's dive into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with the Rogers Center. So on the 25th of June, I flew up with my father-in-law to meet my wife and her mom up in Toronto, who had gone up a few days before in our car and pop-up tent. So we did some camping over in Canada, Michigan, and Ohio. But we did attend some Major League Baseball games along the way. The first game we attended was at the Rogers Center. We went into the newly renovated outfield district at the Rogers Center, which was absolutely fantastic. It was $20 Canadian for come and go as you please seating. We ended up getting some seats right next to the railing at one section. My wife made some friends up at the stadium who happened to have friends staying in our section, so he left prior to the start of the game. So we ended up getting a table for the four of us right above the Blue Jays bullpen in the 500 section. If you are watching us on Twitter and YouTube, I do have some pictures of the stadium. We will send out some more pictures of the game later on this week. But what were the pros and what were the cons of the stadium? We're going to start with the pros of the stadium. Pros of the stadium. There were a ton of activities for kids. The 500 section had a ton of activities for kids. Over in the left field section, the right field section was more of a bar area, kind of a seating area. The left field section was more of a kid-friendly area. They had games, Connect Four, cornhole. They had a chalkboard where you can go leave a message on the chalkboard where you're from or just write a message on. A lot of fun activities for the kids. They had different seating styles in the outfield district. So we sat at a pretty much regular table right next to the railing. So we had a really good view of the game. We could see pretty much the game without any obstructions. You had tabletops right behind us. You had standing room only sections. You had a bleacher section down the 200, 100 section where you can pretty much do a come as you go seating as well. Different food options. So the food options at the Rogers Center were absolutely fantastic. The first thing that we had to get while we were there was a poutine hot dog. Yes, a poutine hot dog. You're talking cheese curds, fries, gravy on a hot dog. Sold. Absolutely fantastic. We each had one of those and we pretty much loved it. We did get some regular poutine. We did get some peanuts, some other variety of snacks, but the poutine hot dog and the poutine were pretty much the best things to get at the stadium. You can't go wrong with French fries. You can't go wrong with gravy, cheese curds. You throw it on a hot dog. Absolutely fantastic. The beer was fantastic as well. I did get the Blue Jays brew. while I was there as well. My father-in-law just stuck with the regular, I believe, Bud Light or Miller Lite. The view of the game, like I said, the view of the game was fantastic. We were right over the Blue Jays bullpen, so pretty much you can look straight down and you can see the Blue Jays bullpen. We did see some of the pitchers warming up in the Blue Jays bullpen. A great view of the game. We did see a couple of homers go out of the Rogers Center. Carlos Correa did lead off the game with the home run. It was kind of cool watching the view of the home run coming kind of at us, but seeing it drop below us into the bleacher section. The Blue Jays have a amazing home run celebration horn go off. The lights are turning blue. What was fantastic about this game, though, the weather was absolutely fantastic that the roof was open. So we had a nice open roof stadium for the game, which you couldn't believe the absolute weather. So my wife's over here. She gave me notes on what she thought of the stadium as well, and she actually loved the stadium. She thought the outfield district was fantastic. She was the one who actually got the seats for us, so without her getting the seats during the game, I know I picked out the tickets for the game, but she got the table for the game. So if it wasn't for her getting the table, we would probably just been standing the entire time. But thanks to her, we got a table to seat for the game. And the last thing that we liked about the stadium, there was a ton of grab-and-go options as you walked around the stadium. They had a bunch of beverage grab-and-go options for beer where you can go in, select the beer you want, pay for it, and then walk out with having to deal with the lines. Now, there were some cons of the stadium when we looked at tickets. We're going to start with the ticket prices. Now, ticket prices were high for the game, but that's because the Blue Jays are doing incredibly well this season, so I'm pretty sure that ticket prices have gone up with the team doing incredibly well. Parking was a little challenging to maneuver around the stadium. We found a parking garage, or what I believe was the parking garage we paid for. We found a parking garage, I believe, about 2-3 blocks away from the stadium. So we were able to walk to the stadium from the parking garage, but it's just a little challenging finding the parking garage. Once we did get a spot in the garage, it was easy to get up to the stadium. Narrow walkways. So the Rogers Center is an old stadium. The walkways are very narrow. And again, the stadium was crowded. It was a good crowd for the game, but it was a very narrow walkway, at least in the 500 district area. The walkways were narrow once you got past that, going into the regular seating areas. And then when you went to the bathroom, the water in the pipes were ice cold. I mean, that's something you could not escape, unfortunately, but ice cold water in the pipes. But those are just some cons to about 20 positives that we had from this game. We had an absolutely fantastic time. The Blue Jays creamed the Athletics that day. It was just an absolutely fantastic game. I would love to go back to the Rogers Center again, to that stadium. So that'd be a stadium I would love to visit again. All right, so the last game that we went to, and I'm actually going to invite my wife on to come talk about this game because this was the tickets that she selected, and she is very proud of it. So we saw the Braves and Guardians at Progressive Field in Cleveland. So we're going to give it a minute for my wife to join on the show. She was the one who actually selected the tickets. These were the club level section down the first base line. So once she gets in, she'll give you an opinion, but I'm going to give you a heads up on what they were. So it was $80 a ticket. So the tickets were about $300 for 4 tickets. But the one nice thing was it was an all-you-can-eat section of the stadium. So it was pretty much all you can eat food and drink. You did have to pay for the beer, but that was a minor thing to say. And my wife is going to join us right now. I'm actually going to hide our presentation real quick as she does join the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, introduce you to my wife, Rebecca Kunos. She is the producer of the show because she does help me on everything. So give me your impression of Progressive Field.
Which one was that?
That was the second stadium in Cleveland, all you can eat.
Oh, yeah. That was really, really fun. I really liked how it was set up because we also did all you could eat at Arizona.
Yeah, Chase Field.
Yeah, we did all there can eat tickets there as well. But the food options were limited in Arizona, whereas when we got to Progressive Field, we had so many options. There were like 2 kinds of pasta. They had chicken. They had hamburgers and hot dogs. They had pizza. You guys got brats.
Yeah, I started off with 4 brats. I'm thinking 10 minutes, so I think that's a record for me. So
my mom had 2 brats too. They had nachos and tacos. They had a salad bar and fruit. Like, the selection was incredible. And you also have to know, we paid the $80, not realizing it was all you could eat. The original tickets that he was looking at were nosebleed, like all the way up high in the section, and they were $40. And at the time, like, the stadium wasn't sold out, but it was full when we were looking for tickets.
Yeah, so I'll give you a heads up. So we looked at tickets out in the outfield over their mini Blue Monster, which were about maybe $20 a ticket because we were looking at.
No, I think it was more than that.
Some sections were 20, some sections were 40, so it depends on where you were.
Depends on how high you wanted to sit.
We did look at regular first baseline tickets, which were kind of pricey, about in the 110s, but I have
for the lower section, like close to the first base.
I had to be going through and I saw the email saying $80, which includes all you can eat food and beverage, and I had to double check real quick, make sure that was correct.
Yeah, that was after we placed it though.
Yeah,
so
that was a few days later.
We were debating because he wanted to sit up in the nosebleed, and I was like, well, I mean, we like doing the games and the stadiums, and I was like, well, we might, and we saved so much on the Blue Jay game doing the outfield district. I was like, we might as well just spend a little bit more and sit a little closer. And then when we looked at the lower level, it was stupid expensive. And so we looked up a little higher, and apparently at the club level. And so the first time we booked it, we didn't know that's what it was. So we're like, okay, well, we're paying $40 more than sitting in the outfield, and we're paying about $20 less than sitting in the lower bowl.
Yeah.
So we thought it was a good deal. And then come to find out it was all you can eat. And we were like, heck yeah.
So we were challenged with eating $8 worth of food. I did eat $40 worth of food. So I did eat my fair share of food and more. But the nice thing is we ended up parking about a block and a half from the stadium, walking over to the center field gate, which was cool because we walked right into their version of an outfield district and right into $2 beers for the pregame. So first thing I did when I walked in, I got two beers for myself and my father-in-law, so we had nice cold beer as soon as we entered the stadium.
That is, of course, after we had to fight the crowds.
Yeah,
because the lines outside as you're going in were awful. Like, there was they didn't designate lines or walkways, and so we got cut off by a bunch of people just randomly standing. And then at one point, we were so close to the security gate. We were like a family behind. A
family of two.
We're like
behind.
A family back, and all of a sudden, these people came out of nowhere and cut the group next to us off, and like literally almost started a fight. So they need to get their gate situation.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear about this game was a sellout. It was their first sellout since 2014. So it was the largest home crowd at Progressive Field since 2014. If you know the history of Progressive Field, you know during the 90s they had over 500 sellouts. They got actually a number over in their stadium with the number of sellouts they had. That was during the 90s. I believe it went from 95 to 2001 when they ended that streak. But a couple other pros about the stadium, the walkways.
I think we also had such an issue getting in, not only because it was sold out, but because it was a giveaway.
Oh yeah,
it was a giveaway night.
It was a giveaway. They gave away these themed Hawaiian shirts that they had for the game. So we got 4 shirts. We're actually going to be doing a giveaway, which I'll talk about at the end of the show.
They're really cute, actually. They've got the C logo in red, and then it's a blue shirt with like
right there,
leaves. Oh, we have it?
Yeah, right there at the top of the
gate. Okay. So anybody watching can see it?
Everyone watching can see. So. I mean, it's a theme Hawaiian shirt, so if you're into the Guardians Hawaiian shirt, we'll do a giveaway on our Twitter page. We'll give you the details of how we'll select someone to receive the shirt.
It is an extra large.
I'll say it's an XL, not open, so we will ship it to you guys wherever you are. So we'll set up the contest here after the show. So
it is cute though. So if you're not on YouTube looking, it is really cute and it fit almost everybody in the stadium.
I think about 3/4 of the stadium were wearing the shirt after that. So I mean, you get a free shirt.
Looks good on like almost everybody. It's actually really cute. I might keep mine.
Well, you can keep yours. I will definitely not be keeping one as I am a White Sox fan, and so that's
I like it.
One couple other pros. The walkways were nice and large.
Their walkways were very wide. So even when we were standing around waiting for you to get the $2 beers with everybody, we weren't in the middle of the walkway, but like we also weren't off to the side of the walkway, and nobody ran into us. Like every time when we went shopping, I felt like we had way more room than we did in Toronto. Toronto's walkways were so narrow. Like I kept elbowing people in Toronto, but when we were in Cleveland, those walkways were nice and wide.
Yeah, so larger walkways. It is a kind of a newer stadium. It was built in the 90s, so it is one of the new retro classic stadiums that were built. The staff, we love the staff. The staff was very knowledgeable, very friendly. They assisted us with all of our questions.
And there were a lot of them, too.
Yeah.
They were everywhere in Cleveland. Like,
yeah, well staffed.
You turned around and there was somebody to talk to. Like, even on we took like a side path, and there were two people sitting there, like you could ask them anything.
Yeah, and they did have a nice little kid themed area, which we got a chance to actually sneak a peek at. So
we did. They let us in. We were looking for the Mickey statue.
Yeah.
And someone said it might be in the kids area, and the kids people were like, "We've never seen it," but they were nice enough to let us in to see it, and it's really cute. They've got like a whole slide, but the best part is if you're bringing your kid, there's like a little sitting section outside the kiddie area. So you don't actually have to leave the kid area with your kid to see the game. Like there's a cute little like bench area there.
Yes.
Did you see that?
I did not get a chance to see that, but
yeah,
I think really I saw cute. Pictures of it. So
it was like, it's narrow. It's like one or two benches, but that's it. But it was really cute.
Yeah, so the game overall was good. We sat mostly in the air conditioning because it was a little bit of a toasty game, and it was, again, a crowd. When you have an AC section in the stadium, you take advantage of that. So, but the nice thing is they did have some post-game entertainment scheduled for this. So as we were getting ready to leave, they announced that Straight No Chaser was going to perform at the end of the game, which they did. They performed over at the right field pavilion. With the game with the performance on the jumbotron, and then they had fireworks after the game. Regular 4th of July fireworks. They shot
on the 3rd of July.
On the 3rd of July, but they're 4th of July fireworks.
I was upset though because I was looking forward. If you guys have not heard Straight No Chaser, they're an a cappella group. They came out when a cappella was big. But they have an amazing Christmas album. Literally just YouTube them. Find them, but they're an awesome a cappella group, and I was very excited to see them. And then they didn't perform on the field. They were off on the side. So then they put them on the big screen, which was okay, but then you couldn't really hear them. Like the speakers, I guess in our section or the speakers in general just weren't working, and you just really couldn't hear them that well, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, the audio, I guess acoustics were probably bouncing off the area, and you're dealing with the downtown area. So fireworks were good. They shone from a parking garage behind the stadium. However, the wind did not play a favor to us as the smoke kind of just
turned
it into a more of a light show than a fireworks show. But overall, we've been to, I would say, over 5 stadiums together. So you're
together.
I've been to about 10 stadiums myself. But give me your top 3 stadiums that you've been to.
Top 3. Oh, this is hard. I'm going to have to go with Arizona.
All right, Chase Field.
Yes, I love it. They had wide walkways. They had awesome food options. They had awesome seat options too. They had a lot of variety in seat options, which were all lovely to sit at. And I like that it could be closed or open, and that they chose to close it because it was hot. I also love the parking. Literally, we parked in the parking garage. It wasn't that expensive, and it was right next to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even have to travel that far or pay that much for stadium parking, basically. And that was great. And they, at the end of the game, when we were leaving, it was a quick exit. Like they had their traffic under control there. They knew what they were doing in Arizona. So I have to go with Arizona as my number 1 favorite stadium. Am I allowed to play favorites?
You can play favorites. I mean, my listeners can play favorites, so anyone knows the show, they know what my favorite stadium is going to be.
Yeah, but I haven't been to that stadium. You haven't taken me yet.
Not yet, at least, but give me your number 2.
Number 2, I'm going to have to go with Cleveland.
Okay, so Progressive Field.
Yeah, I really loved their stadium. I wish it was kind of a closed dome situation, but I guess it was just obnoxiously, normally hot when we were there, because we were there on the 3rd, and it was just super hot, I guess, everywhere in the United States that day.
Yeah.
And then 3rd, you're really making me think. I'm torn between the Red Sox.
All right, so Fenway
And Tampa.
All right, so Trop and Fenway.
And I only like the Trop because it's the home. It's my team's home.
If you don't know, my wife is a Rays fan. She comes from a mixed Red Sox Yankee fan, so she
my
is the
whole
outcaster.
household is split 50-50. Like, literally, we've done the math. Half of my family roots for the Red Sox, and half of them root for Yankees. And then when they were like, okay, Becca, who are you cheering for? And I was like, well, I don't want to get in the middle of a family feud. And so I chose the local team, and we happened to be in Florida at the time. So the local team was the Rays, and I've been a Rays fan ever since.
Yeah, so, all right, so you got...
So I liked Fenway because it felt like you were in the game. Like we were down past first base. We were on the first base line, and we were up. We weren't that like really close section. We were the second section, but I felt like we were in the game. Like you truly, it wasn't like the newer ballparks where you're like, okay, the upper section is like, okay, you feel like you're above the game and you're a little further back. Like in Fenway, it felt like we were in the game. Anywhere we sat, my sister got tickets right behind first base, and even walking, because we got to take the walkway. And I was like, are we on the field? And we were so close to the action. It was amazing. And I like the home field because I like the dome, and I like how they updated our food system. They have like this new technology where instead of getting in line and ordering with a person, you order it on a screen, and then they say, okay, your order's up, and you go pick it up. And I like that update that they made, and that it's indoors.
All right, so those are your top 3. My top 3, I'm going obviously Guaranteed Rate Field. The Cell, Comiskey, that's number 1. That's biased for me because I am a White Sox fan. I've been there numerous times. It will always be my favorite stadium. I'll take you up there.
I was about to say, you have to take me now.
We're going to get you up to the Cell for
I can see if it really ranks.
I'm going to say number 2, Chase Field, obviously, because if you're from Chicago, you know Portillo's. They got freaking Portillo's in the stadium.
Arizona had a Portillo's.
Yeah, and that's why I said Arizona had Portillo's in the stadium down over in the right field.
Yeah, like right as we came in.
Yeah, so they had Portillo's. Number 3, I'm actually going to go with National Park in D.C.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
National Park is down by the waterfront.
That beats
down by the waterfront. I actually love how they laid out that stadium. It's a good walking distance down.
And I like that you can get standing tickets too.
Yeah, so we had standing room tickets for opening day back in 2012.
And it was like, what, $5-10?
15, something like that.
No, it wasn't that expensive.
They
were pretty freaking cheap.
Price excluded, but so that's the review of
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. That's the review of the stadiums. Do you have anything else before I move on?
On the stadiums?
On stadiums.
No, I like live baseball. I'm upset about the timer though, because the new clock means that you have to actually watch the game, and you don't have time to like enjoy the stadium. Like when I'm watching the game at home, it's nice because it's like, okay, it's a quick game. But when you're in the stadium, now you either have to arrive extra early so you have time to walk the stadium. And I don't like that. I miss being able to like get up in the 7th inning, and during 7th inning stretch, go take a walk around, or like, oh, I'm getting hungry, I need a snack. Get up, get a snack, and feel like you didn't miss that much because everyone took forever. Now that stupid timer ruins game, like stadium.
So
visits.
We know she is not a fan of the new pitch timer, timer.
When you're in the stadium.
Game times in the stadium have flown by. I think the longest game we saw was probably the Cleveland game, just because the Braves offense was just kind of routing the Guardians at one point. Blue Jays routed at Flex. So
the Blue Jays game was quick.
It was quick.
It was fast.
But we'll give you more updates on stadiums. We may do an actual stadium show in the near future. We'll give you reviews of our stadiums. So
can we?
We can. But thank you for joining. So.
Oh, so you're kicking me out now?
I gotta move on to All-Star stuff.
So I don't get to talk All-Star?
If you want to talk All-Star, you're more welcome to.
What do we got?
I'm gonna put this back up. It's gonna block my face, but. So
if you're watching live on YouTube, I'm the star.
Exactly.
Now.
So we got the All-Star game, which is starting over this week. So as you can see, All-Star game merchandise has been available for the last, about 2 to 3 weeks. They did reveal the All-Star game jerseys, so it is Mariner colors. It's actually a new Nike Vapor baseball jersey that they will be debuting next year. I'll do a little more deep dive into that once we get to the end of the season. Pretty much the template is American League will be in the Northwest teal green jersey. National League will be in the navy blue jersey.
What's the pattern they got? Is that a water pattern?
It's more of a mountain sea pattern that they have imprinted on the actual jersey. They actually have the All-Star Game jersey patch on the left sleeve. And what's different about this year that I've noticed, there will be a sponsor in the All-Star patch. So as you know, sponsors patches have been coming and going the entire season.
What sponsor?
MasterCard. So it's an All-Star game.
So they're all going to have MasterCard?
They'll have a little MasterCard logo underneath the All-Star logo on the jersey. You can see some of the pattern that the American League and National League will be wearing. Each league will be featuring a North Star, kind of like a compass star with the MLB logo on their actual script. The hats that they will have for this year, so all teams will have an official home run derby warm-up hat and an official game hat. I am sporting the Cleveland Guardians game hat that will be worn by the Guardians. My wife's doing a very good job of presenting it. It is a gray hat with
it's not gray, it's the teal.
No, the gray base.
No, that's like a teal base.
Teal, gray base, whatever you look at, but it does feature the Mariner colors. All team logos will be in Mariner colors. The side of the hat,
is teal, isn't it?
Teal, silver, and navy blue. So
yeah, so this is like a teal. I know it does. If you're watching on YouTube, you're like, no, it's gray. He's right. No, it's actually like it's a light teal color. It's actually a really pretty color in person.
Features the All-Star patch on the opposite side with the Mariners mountain strip over the patch. The actual batting practice hats or warm-up hats that they'll be wearing during the All-Star home run derby will be in team colors. So all teams will have their official team logos in their color hats. Same design, but everything will be featured in their team colors. So the athletics are on display here.
In their green.
In their green, gold, and white as well.
The one under it, if you're watching on YouTube, is the Cleveland hat.
Yeah.
That he has. And though the picture looks clearer that it's not gray. It's more of a light teal.
If you're going to be in Seattle, there'll definitely be a lot of opportunities to purchase All-Star Game gear at the stadium around Seattle. But head on over to Fanatics. Click on the Linktree link in our Twitter bio for all of your official All-Star Game jerseys.
Fanatics is awesome.
Yeah.
That's where he gets all his gear.
So moving on. So Monday is the best thing about the All-Star break is the T-Mobile Home Run Derby. So the lineup that we have for this year, we have 8 participants going 1 to 8. So Luis Robert Jr. of the White Sox, Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Edios Garcia of the Texas Rangers, Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays, hometown Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Aldi Rashomon of the Baltimore Orioles. Will be your 8 contestants going at. So if you're looking at the bracket, Robert Jr. versus Rossaman, Garcia versus Arozarena, Alonso versus Rodriguez, and Betts versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So it's a bracket style. So how it's going to work, ladies and gentlemen, is it's pretty much an elimination. You'll face off in 2 elimination rounds to get to the final. So if you're rooting for Luis Robert Jr., he has to get through Rashomon, Garcia, and Rosarena to get to the final round, where he'll face either Alonso, Betts,
So my guy's got a tough. Look at that. My Tampa Bay guy's got to get through what?
So Rosarina
4?
has to get through Garcia. So home run totals, Robert, Alonso, and Betts are all tied with 26 home runs. Garcia in game season. Garcia has 23 this season. Rosarina has 16. Julio Rodriguez has 13. Guerrero Jr. has 13. Rashman has 12. So overall, I think this is a very good home run derby bracket. It is awesome just to watch this on TV. I think the home run derby is probably the best thing of the All-Star break, is where they come to see how far you can hit a home run. We will be sending out live tweets of every participant during the rounds on how they do, their longest home run, how many they've hit, and who they're going to come up against next. But if I had to pick a winner for this year's All-Star Home Run Derby, I am going with the hometown guy, Julio Rodriguez. He came so close last year in Los Angeles. I thought he was going to win it, but Julio Rodriguez, I am picking to win this year. Do you have a favorite? I think I know who you're going to pick.
You know who I'm going to pick.
I know who you're going to pick.
I'm rooting for Randy.
All right, so Rosarina.
He's got a tough bracket, but I think he was smart in choosing his pitcher, and I feel like he's got a strong arm.
So, and she actually brings up a good point. So all home run participants actually get to choose their designated pitcher. So they'll bring either a pitching coach,
a dad.
We've
seen a lot of dads.
Yeah.
And I think that's so sweet. If you were doing it and you didn't bring your dad, oh, wow. Got to know the story behind that.
I know Bryce Harper brought his dad in 2019.
At least for your
2018, sorry.
At least for your first home run derby, you got to bring your dad. After that, then you can, if your dad wasn't that great at tossing you pitches, then you can pick somebody else. But at least your first home run derby, you have to choose your dad. If you don't, either you don't like your dad or
there's something wrong there. But we're going to move on to...
Oh, we're not going to pick who we think is going to make the longest home run?
No, just the winners.
Just the winner? Come on. Who do you think is going to hit it the furthest?
I think Robert Jr. is going to smack it the longest. He's got
muscle.
His stroke is just so pure. I think he has one of the better swings in baseball. He has such good power behind him. I think Luis Robert Jr. does get the longest home run.
Okay. I think Vladimir from Toronto.
All right, so you're going Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, that's a big park. So to have 13 home runs, I don't know. And I like his picture.
Yeah,
if you're looking at the bracket, he's got that cute smile. I think he'll hit it the furthest. I don't know the muscle between everybody.
All right. So don't forget to tune in to the Home Run Derby this Monday, tomorrow, 8 p.m. on ESPN. They will have a simulcast on ESPN2. It's more of a deep dive, and also be available on ESPN Deportes as well.
Well, and you'll be tweeting it out, too.
And don't forget to follow the Bullpen Podcast on Twitter for all of your Home Run Derby updates. All right, so we're moving on to the All-Star Stars. Now, these were stars that were voted on by fans. So we do have some injuries that did take place with two of the stars in the American League, but we're going to run down the American League All-Stars that the fans voted in. So starting with catcher Jonah Heim from Texas. He is batting .282, 12 home runs, 59 RBIs, OPS of 812. He is one of 5 Texas Rangers who have made the All-Star game starting lineup.
Texas, you need to chill your pills.
4. They're first place in the AL West, so they deserve to have 4 stars. They have catching. They got Marcus Semien at second base. They got Josh Jung at third base. Corey Seager at shortstop. Your first base star will be Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays. He is slashing .323, 13 home runs, 43 RBIs, OPS of 923.
So Texas is number 1 in the American League.
They're number 1 in the American League. They're
over
second,
Tampa right now.
Record-wise, no. Tampa has a better record. However, the fans voted for the Rangers. They came out in drones.
Oh.
Over in the outfield, your elected starters were Mike Trout, slashing .263, 18 home runs, 44 RBIs, and OPS of 862. Randy Rosarina from Tampa was your other outfielder, 279 average, 16 home runs, 58 RBIs, OPS of 855.
Isn't he doing the home run one?
Yep, he's in the home run derby, so he'll be starting the next day. Aaron Judge of the Yankees, 291 average, 19 home runs, 40 RBIs, OPS of 1,078. However, Trout and Judge are injured, so they will not be participating in the All-Star game, but we do have replacements for them. Kyle Tucker of the Houston Astros has been named a replacement for him in the All-Star game, so he'll be starting in his place. 282, 13 home runs, 56 RBIs, OPS of 836. And Julio Rodriguez, hometown guy for the Mariners, good to see him in the All-Star game as a starter. 249, 13 home runs, 49 RBIs, 721 OPS. And your DH, no surprise, Shohei Ohtani.
Whoop, whoop.
So he'll probably be both DHing and will probably get an inning of pitching in. Starting with his batting, he's 302. He leads the American League with 32 home runs, 71 RBIs, OPS of 1,050. Pitching stats, he is 7-4 with a 3.32 ERA. He struck out 132 batters. His whip is 1.10, so he has an absolute fantastic whip this year, one of the better pitchers. Overall, though, American League looks stacked from top to bottom.
Heck yeah!
You have the two top teams with the Rangers and the Braves, who are pretty much going to be dominating this starting lineup. It's unfortunate that Trout and Judge could not be in the All-Star game. However, we'd love to see him in there.
But we got good replacements.
We got some good replacements.
Yeah,
Kyle Tucker and Julio Rodriguez are definitely no slouches when it comes to outfield replacements. So good American League starting lineup.
American League.
I think American League will do good this year. But let's go over to the National League and talk about how
because you're a National League guy.
I do have one horse in this lineup, but we're going to start with catcher Sean Murphy of the Braves, slashing 306, 17 home runs, 55 RBIs, OPS at 999. Going around the infield, starting at first base, Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers, 320 average, 17 home runs, 61 RBIs, OPS of 952. Luis Ariza of the Marlins, 383. That's
a good record.
If you have been following him, he has been at 400 for most of the first half, so he will be someone you need to watch, as he will be trying to break Ted Williams' record of batting 406. I'll double check on that one later.
I was about to say, how many games does he have left to get that?
He has the second half, which is, I believe, about maybe 70 games left to go, so we'll see how he can do. But 383 average, 3 home runs, 42 RBIs, OPS at 905. Nolan Arenado of the Cardinals, 283 average, 19 home runs, 62 RBIs, OPS of 805. And your shortstop, Orlando Arcia of the Braves, 294 average, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs, OPS of 769. So that rounds out your infield. I think it's a great infield lineup going from first base to third base. You have such great defense and good power through that lineup. Moving on to the outfield, which I think this outfield trumps what the American League has to offer, just because I think who we got. Starting with Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves, 331, 21 home runs, 55 RBIs, OPS of 990.
He was awesome. We got to see him play.
I mean, we saw him play live in Cleveland. He's an absolute fantastic athlete. He has great speed around the bases.
He's fast.
Corbin Carroll, the rookie phenomenon out of Arizona, 289 average, 18 home runs, 48 RBIs, 915 OPS. Now, he has been in talks for consideration not only for National League Rookie of the Year, but also National League MVP, so he could end up walking away with both awards this year. Mookie Betts. Be incredible. Mookie Betts over the Dodgers, 276, 26 home runs, 62 RBIs, OPS of 965. And your DH will be J.D. Martinez of the Dodgers, 255 average, 22 home runs, 62 RBIs as well, OPS of 873. If I had to look at who I give the edge to, obviously infield for the American League. However, outfield has to go National League advantage. I think the National League has the advantage in the outfield, just with our Betts, Carroll, and Acuna Jr. rounding out that outfield trio to start the game. You have great speed in the outfield. They cover great distance in the gaps.
But I mean, if you're hitting well, if everyone hits smart and hits well, then your outfield can't save you.
Yeah. So we know the starting lineups for both the American League and National League. Pitchers have not yet been announced. I would assume they'll be announced sometime tomorrow, so stay tuned as those announcements will be made. We already know that a couple managers have made the announcement that pitchers from their teams will not be pitching in the All-Star game as
you gotta save them.
As they're probably pitched today in the game. They're dealing with injuries or they don't want them to pitch in the game. But that is something
I wouldn't personally. If I were a manager or coach, I wouldn't. I would sit my strong guys for sure.
But if we had to pick, we're gonna pick an All-Star Game winner. Who wins the MVP?
American League.
So my wife Rebecca is picking American League. I'm actually gonna go National League in this one. I think the National League finally breaks through and gets a win over the American League. This has been a very one-sided All-Star game going back. And I say your All-Star MVP will be Ronald Acuna Jr. I think he walks away with MVP honors.
Along with the other 2 trophies?
No, just from this game only. So he'll walk away with the All-Star MVP from this game. If you had to pick an MVP.
Oh, God, that's so hard. Well, clearly I'm going to have to pick it from the American League because I think the American League's going to win. And they usually pick the MVP from the winning team. Yikes. I truly don't know. Because usually who I think is a well-rounded player and a good teammate usually aren't the ones that get recognized as MVPs. So do I have to pick?
You don't have to pick.
Okay. Can I not?
All right.
I think the MVP is going to come from the American League because I think the American League is going to win.
That is fair enough. So tune in for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, 8 p.m. on Tuesday on Fox. That game we broadcast on Fox, so please make sure you're tuning in there. 8 p.m. Tuesday night. We'll be tweeting from the live about the All-Star Game the entire night. So
we're not going to watch it? You don't want to go live?
We'll be watching. We may go live. We may not go live.
I can find a teal T-shirt somewhere.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Maybe we can order one off of...
We'll see about... We maybe do some All-Star shopping off Fanatics.
Off Fanatics. Get me a shirt. We can go live?
We can go live. I don't think we get here in time. That's the only problem.
Oh.
All right. So with the All-Star Game now in full swing, let's look at the first half standings, and we're going to start with the American League. Again, the first half has been absolutely crazy, and I'm going to start off with one of the biggest surprises of this season is the weakness of the American League Central. This division has been god-awful this season. What I mean by god-awful, at one point, every team in this division has been below 500. The Guardians finished this season, first half, at 45-45. They would be in dead last in the American League East as every team in that division has a 500 or above record. The Boston Red Sox are at 48-43 with a .522 winning percentage. They're 9 games behind the Rays. 2 games behind the wild card. So the American League East is strong, but the American League Central is a weak division. And one of the biggest disappointments from this division has to be, unfortunately, my Chicago White Sox. I thought this team would be a team that would bounce back after a horrible year last year with Tony La Russa's kind of like mismanagement of the team.
I was about to say you were really looking forward.
I hyped up the White Sox so much this season. I have a lot of friends on Twitter I've been talking to who have just been absolutely pissed off about this team.
Language.
The 2 people that are listening to this show will understand that I like to swear on this show.
Family, there might be people who want to have family listen to.
If my mother's listening, she's heard me swear a lot.
Your family.
But we'll talk about that later on in the season.
I'm not complaining.
We are going to talk about the number of teams in this so far that have 50 or more wins this season. We have Tampa, Baltimore, Toronto, Texas, and Houston. So we have 5 teams in the American League that have 50 or more wins at the first half. That is something that I have not seen in a while. Flip that script that we have the White Sox, Tigers, Royals, and Athletics who have 50 or more losses. So the Athletics are leading that charge with 67 losses. The Rays are leading the charge with 58 wins. So
No. It's the Oakland Athletics with 67.
Yeah, flip that. 67 losses.
Kansas is up there, though.
Um,
You just read the notes wrong.
Athletics were in Kansas City. Don't worry about that. It was a long time ago. But again, another surprise for this half has been the Texas Rangers. Last year, they were kind of the team that we thought would be building towards a playoff appearance. However, the Mariners kind of took that from them. And the Mariners have been a team that are still trying to find, I think, their groove.
I don't know. I feel I really wasn't counting on the Mariners. And for the group that they have, I think they're doing rather well. And I can't wait to see next year's group.
Well, remember last year the Mariners did end up with 92 wins. They did get a wild card spot. They beat the Blue Jays in the wild card round. They did take Houston on pretty well, but ended up getting swept out of the playoffs.
So you don't think they're doing as well as
not as well as they should? I thought they'd be a good team this year. I thought they'd be playing at that high level they had last year. But the Mariners, White Sox, I'll even throw the Yankees and Red Sox as a little bit of a disappointment in the first half this season.
But the Yankees have come back.
Yankees have come back, but they are dealing with a lot of injuries that we'll talk about later on this season, ladies and gentlemen. But moving on to the National League. So the National League, the Atlanta Braves own the best record in baseball. They are 60-29. They are 9.5 games above the Miami Marlins, who have been another big surprise this season. The Marlins,
big shocker.
The Marlins, if you've been following the Marlins, the last time they made the playoffs was in 2020 during the crazy COVID pandemic season as they won the wild card teams. But they've actually been playing incredibly well this year. They got a nice young core.
I haven't been to that stadium yet either.
Lone Depot Park, I believe is what it's called.
Maybe we should take the train down.
Yeah, we do have a train that can get us to Miami too quick.
Yeah, that'll be a fun trip. Take the new Orlando train to Miami and then go to see the Miami game.
We may have to do that after the second half of the season. In the National League Central, you got the Cincinnati Reds, who own a one-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. The Pirates, unfortunately, have kind of fallen off their winning ways. They start off really strong in the first 2 months of the season, but kind of have fallen off. But the Reds have been a surprise. They're 50-41 with a one-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs are below 500 at 42-47. The Cardinals, who won this division last year, have been like the White Sox, god awful this season. They've been really a big disappointment because you usually root for them. I usually pull for the Cardinals.
Occasionally. They've let you down a lot this year.
So the Cardinals have been a big disappointment, but we flip it over to the National League West. Right now, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks are virtually tied. The only reason the Dodgers are above the Diamondbacks is by winning percentage. The Diamondbacks own a .571 winning percentage. Dodgers have a .573 winning percentage. So by percentage points, the Dodgers are in first place. But you got to give hats off to Arizona, who are 52 wins right now, 52-39. They have been a surprise team this year, and it has to go with Corbin Carroll. That guy has been absolutely fantastic. The rookie phenomenon out in Arizona. He's had incredible offensive season this year. Incredible defense. He has been one of the key leaders for this team. Evan Longoria's been a great veteran presence.
Yeah, I was about to say a team's not built around one person, but
you got Zach
he
Gallen.
is a good leader.
Yeah, Zach Gallen at the pitching staff. So they got a lot of great things going on in Arizona. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
In key locations.
Yeah.
They've got strong players in key locations.
Disappointments in the National League this year. The New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals, and the San Diego Padres. I'm grouping these three teams together. New York Mets had if you go back to their offseason, they spent a lot of money bringing in Justin Verlander. They signed.
Oh, yeah.
They brought in a lot of heavy hitters this year, and they had just been god awful this season. I mean, if Chris Krogman is listening, I know he's probably cursing the Mets out this year with just how awful.
Well, good. The two of you can have
I may have Chris, if you're listening.
Baseball season
Chris,
party.
if you're listening, I may have to bring you back on the show so we can have an event section about our teams in the near future. But the St. Louis Cardinals have been awful this year. The Wilson Contreras trade has not worked out. They've actually been kind of like the losers of that trade at this point. And San Diego, who had a great season last year, went to the NLCS, lost to the Phillies in 6 games. Thought they were going to be a challenge for the NL West. I actually picked them as my NL West division winners this year. They have been absolutely awful.
Oh, well.
But that brings us to the end of our show. Rebecca, thank you very much for joining us on this first half recap All-Star.
So weird when you use my whole name.
I know, but I would like to thank my wife for joining us on this edition of the Bullpen Podcast. We will be back after the All-Star break. We're going to be at Disney over the weekend, kind of a post-birthday celebration and
a late birthday
celebration. But to all of you who did wish me happy birthday on Facebook, Twitter, reach out to me via text messages. I do appreciate that. So we're going to be down at Disney doing a late birthday celebration. So we may do a show Monday.
We can do it from the room. We'll get set up.
We'll set up on the room.
We'll see about the Wi-Fi situation.
Yeah. If not, we'll do a show either Monday or Tuesday back here live on the Bullpen Podcast. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the Home Run Derby. Enjoy the All-Star game. Enjoy the All-Star break. Games will resume on Friday this week. So
get your gear.
And don't forget to head over to Fanatics to pick up all of your official Major League Baseball 2023 All-Star gear. Until then, have a good night, everyone.